Hello, and welcome to Every Day is Funny, Saturday, May 4th. And this is unprecedented in the week-long history, not even, of Every Day is Funny. But we're rocking back-to-back theme days. Because not only is this the first weekend installment of the show, which I'm calling Afternoon Tea, which is mainly just a way for me to not have to wake up as early on the weekends. And I switched to tea instead of coffee. But yesterday was Unfrosted Day here at the show. And today, I didn't even realize, is Star Wars Day. And happy May 4th. I don't want to use the classic phrase, and you all know what Star Wars phrase that is, to describe the occasion. I wanted to come up with my own, and the best I could do was Wookiee here, it's May 4th. Which isn't great, but I didn't have a lot of time to think on it. And maybe there will be a groundswell of support, and that phrase will replace May the 4th be with you. And so first off, I thought we'd take a look at some motivational Star Wars quotes from this article I found, linked below. Because by now you know that the nature of this show is a calm and meditative one. So I thought, what better way to celebrate Star Wars Day than with their iconic nuggets of wisdom as determined by this random blogger. Number one, the Force will be with you always. Okay, clicking on the link, I thought this would be something not just in Star Wars terms, you know what I mean? Kind of broader, knowledge-based things, but like considering the Force is not real, obviously it translates to maybe energy or a greater implication metaphorically, but I wouldn't come out of the gate swinging with the Force will be with you always as the top motivational quote. All right, number 2, hope is not lost today. It is found. That's at least a little more applicable to a more universal idea of what I'm talking about. But that is speaking to a specific event or day. So I, again, don't think it's that great. Number 3, we are the spark that'll light the fire, that'll burn the First Order down. Again, you're mentioning specific Star Wars organizations in the First Order. This doesn't really apply to me. Okay, then it goes, believe in yourself, believe in the Force. The Force is strong with you. Remember, the Force will be with you. There's a lot about the Force here. I don't really see how this applies. If you felt motivation from that, let me know. Now, I want to move on to comics, and a special surprise, I will close out with Rex Morgan MD, as always. But first, I'm going to call this Submission Saturday. We have 2 comics that were submitted to me by fans of the show, and I'd like to read them aloud and link to them on the Every Day is Funny website. This is very exciting. This is our first user-submitted content. Now first, we have Untitled. Doesn't have a name. And the author of the comic has chosen to remain anonymous. Most likely because if their name got out on this pod, paparazzi would be at the door. So let's take a look at Untitled here. A woman is walking down the sidewalk. A cherry tree stands between her and a man walking his dog coming from the other direction. The woman meets up with the dog and says, "May I pet your dog?" The man says, "Of course." Now on the ground in the third panel is a cherry that has fallen from said cherry tree, and the dog licks it up. And the woman says, "Sorry, someone has been spilling cherries all over my street." And the man says, "Ma'am, your street is lined with cherry trees." And she says, "Oh, right. And makes a very twitchy reaction. Which I love this comic. It starts to get into who is this woman, and will the dog be okay? Perhaps because I'm coming from days of Rex Morgan MD and a plot line about a sick dog. I'd like to know in this author's next comic if the dog is okay from eating this cherry. And if not, does this neighborhood woman hold on to that guilt? Even though I assume she didn't plant these cherry trees. But I love this comic. Moving on to the next one. This one has a name and an author. It's sent in by Peter, and it's called... I don't want to screw up the pronunciation because it's named after the comic's title character, and I don't want to get this wrong. Glowjert? Or the J is silent, it could be. Glowert. I should have asked our author. But I'm going to say Glowjert because that's funnier and kind of sounds like Joe Dirt. And here we have a strange figured being, the titular Glowjert, and a woman talking to him. And the woman says, "Thanks for walking me home, Glowjert. Tonight was lovely." And Glowjert says, "Agreed." And they walk home after, I presume, a date. And the woman says, "Oh, wow," because Glowjert is about to open the door for her and hold it open. And she says, "Such a gentleman, holding open the door for me." And Glowjert says, "I didn't do it to be nice." And the woman says, "Oh?" And this next panel is just Glowjert and a massive speech bubble taking up the panel. And he says, "I was actually checking for termites. This wooden door would be like dessert for them. LOL." Ooh. In the next panel, the woman slams the door in Glowjert's face, and he says, The next panel is a text from the woman to Glowjert saying, "Please never see me again." And then next panel is just Glowjert saying, "Shit." And then final panel, Glowjert is surrounded by a bunch of random people all of a sudden, and they all say, "Oh, Glowjert." These are great. These are two great user-submitted comics. It is good that Glowjert ends with being surrounded by friends, and they all say, "Oh, Glowjert," in unison, as if this kind of date bungle is a common occurrence for poor Glowj. I would love to see a series on Glowjert's first dates and the various ways in which a seemingly innocent comment is taken horribly and his love life can never progress. Okay, to end the up, we do have to check in with Rex Morgan MD. Saturday, May 4th. Okay, they're still in the car. They're still in the car. Coming home from the vet. Rex says to the daughter in the back seat with the dog, "Oh, Sarah, don't blame yourself for Candy eating the brownies." Close up of Rex. She'd never gotten anything off the counter before. As far as you knew, they were safe there. And again, cut to the girl And Terry Beatty decides no background is necessary for this shot. And the daughter says, "But they weren't. I should have been more careful." I should have been more careful. I felt like we covered her guilt pretty in depth yesterday. And I feel like there wasn't much more we had to say about that. And now this is becoming a very awkward ride home, because she seems to be really internalizing this guilt, even though the dog is fine. Also, I haven't gone far enough back to know the origin of this incident. But was Sarah baking the brownie? Like, she was handling an entire plate of brownies and put them on a counter? Why was she handling these brownies? I pray they're back at the home by tomorrow. All right, let's take a look at the comments. The top comment is not from either Rebecca or William. It is from JB. Could be JB Smoove, with some time on his hands after Curb Your Enthusiasm has completed. And JB says, "I should have been more careful. Maybe I should have enlisted a parent, or better yet, a responsible adult to watch over them." That's what I'm saying, JB. Why was this girl in charge of an entire plate of brownies? She is a youth. Oh, man. Gotta give JB an upvote there. William Thompson does have the next highest comment below him. "So Sarah shows an ability to accept responsibility and to learn from experience. Are we sure she's related to Rex?" Oh, damn, William. William's starting something that's bigger than the Kendrick and Drake beef right now. And I don't think Terry's gonna respond. Terry's gotta respond. Terry's gotta drop a diss today. What should I say? All right, I'm gonna take a sip of tea as I figure out what to respond. Okay. Considering how long they've been talking about this, I'm going to comment from Sarah's point of view and say, in quotes, "Dad, do you worry this drama is all we have to talk about as father and daughter, and once this is over, we'll speak much less?" A little harsh, but I feel like that little devil William Thompson will get a kick out of it. Let's see. I shall post. All right, we're going to wrap things up for this Saturday, May 4th, the first Every Day is Funny afternoon tea. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. And Wookiee here, it's May 4th.